Welcome back after the break. So our next topic will be about attribute values. So what is an attribute value? An attribute value is nothing but, so before we have seen many attributes, XML attributes. So here each XML attribute has some values to be specified in order to appear in the document. So with the help of this attribute values, we can tell the order of appearance inside the document of each attribute. We can specify them individually. So in order to specify the order in which the attributes to appear, there are around 4 types of attribute values. The first one is default value, the second one is fixed value, third one is required value, and the fourth one is optional value. So about all these things we are going to see in our upcoming slides. So to start with, default values. The default value is used to in situations when no value is provided by the user. Consider if the user is not providing any value for an attribute, at that point of time whatever is specified inside the default value will be taken as that particular attribute's value. If the attribute has a default value and also a value included in the document, then this particular default value will be omitted and takes the value which is included inside the document. So you must be very careful with this. Consider when you provide the value also, and when you provide both the default value as well as this particular value, when you provide your own value instead of default value, the default value will not be taken. Instead of taking the default value, it takes the value which is provided by yourself, and the default value must be provided within the double quotes. The syntax for specifying the default value will be like @list, element name, attribute type, and then within the double quotes you have to specify the default value. The next particular attribute value is fixed value. So when the value of the attribute does not change, as the name itself states that it's fixed. So when the value of an attribute will not change, you can use that particular attribute value as fixed, #fixed. The parser checks the XML file. The fixed value must match with the attribute value provided. So what does this parser do is that it matches your value along with the fixed value that is given inside the document. If it matches, then the parser will not say any error. If it doesn't match, then an error is being displayed by the parser. If it does not match, the parser raises an error. This is what I have said. And the syntax is #fixed and provide your fixed value. So attribute type, after attribute type you have to specify #fixed. After specifying the #fixed, you have to specify the fixed value. Attribute values, and the next one will be of required value. So as the name states, it is required. So when the value of the attribute is required mandatorily, then the attribute value must be used with #required. When the attribute value is declared as required, then it can't be declared as default. So please remember this thing very carefully. When you're declaring an attribute value as required, then you cannot declare it as default. The syntax for required value will be just #required after the attribute type. So if you specify #required, it is mandatory that you have to enter that particular attribute's value. The next one will be about optional values. As the name itself states, and we have also used it before in our previous programs, when the value of the attribute is not required mandatorily, it is not necessary, then we have to declare it with the particular notation #implied. And the syntax is just like this. So about all these things we'll just see a practical example so that we'll understand it more better. Okay, now let's see a program based on our attribute values. So already I have created one program, so I'll just open this in Notepad++. So from this example onwards I'm going to use Notepad++. So why I'm saying this, because this is an improved version of Notepad where the things will be very good in place of colors, and the other things you can differentiate, and some XST. That's our next thing which we are going to see. XST, well, I got a validation tool for Notepad++, so that's the reason we are going to use Notepad++, but it's up to you to use Notepad++ or Notepad. Okay, so both are will be same. So here I am using an internal DTD. Inside this internal DTD, I'll just maximize this. Inside this internal DTD, I declared one root element, that is college, and this college root element has one or more student child elements. That one or more is specified by using this cardinality ratio. The next particular thing is inside this college I created one attribute for that college. The attribute name is code, and I given as fixed. Fixed means whatever the attribute value I given inside this double quotes must be given in the same pattern. If it is not given in the same pattern, then an error will arise. For that I'll show an example for you. So see here I given as fixed. So now I'm going to execute this program. Click Alt+I. So validate XML. It says validation successful. Now note one point. In my college, my code attribute carries ABC123, which means that is a fixed value. I cannot change my code from ABC123 to whichever value I like. Now I'm going to change this ABC123 to some BC8234. Now you see this, the value which I gave for this code attribute is BC234, but the original value which I gave in fixed is ABC123. Now when I execute this in my browser, refresh, validate XML, it says attribute code has a value which does not match the fixed value. So my given value is one thing and my fixed value is the other thing. They don't match each other. That's the reason I got that error. So I'm changing this to ABC123. I hope so you understood this fixed. Okay, inside the student element I have many other child elements, roll number, name, gender. I notice in gender I created one attribute that is a category and gave a choice elements. In that I gave, within the double quotes I gave M. So this is nothing but the default value. Consider if I don't specify any gender, then automatically my particular value will become M. Just see this. Now I'm running this. I have remove this, execute this. Now you can notice that I totally removed my attribute here, that is the cat attribute. So since I removed the cat attribute, my value has come here as cat equal to within double quotes M. The reason is by default if I don't specify any attribute values, then fill that particular thing with M. That is the reason I got there. So I'll undo this. So I think you have understood this. The next one will be about hash required. Notice this point very carefully. For the element course, I created one attribute that is C_code. This C_code I gave it as hash required. It means that for each and every course I need to enter, it is mandatory to enter the C_code. Consider I entered all the C_code here. Consider for MSc course, I'm removing this C underscore code. Notice only for MBA and MCA I have that C underscore code, but for MSc I removed it. So I'm going to my browser, I'm going to execute it, validate XML. It says that required attribute C underscore code is missing in MSc. Now you can see that it is required, it is understood that this particular attribute value is required. The next most important thing is hash implied, which we already know, but even though I'm saying that, so here I created an attribute for my tutor, t underscore code, that is implied. So it is an optional attribute. So it means that for tutor there is an attribute that is t underscore code. Either that I can give, or else I can leave it empty. You can see Shiva has got no t underscore code values, but the teacher Gandhi has got the t underscore code value. So it is optional. If I need, I can give. That is the use of hash implied. I think you have understood this. Now let's go back to the slides. Fine. So now let's take a break. So in our next video we'll see a new topic. I hope so you understood in this particular video the concepts clearly. Thank you.